Hey guys, it's me, Gabe. So I kind of wanted to take a little time to, kind of read to y'all. So, sorry about that, guys. I had to fix my area of reading. So I kind of wanted to take a little time today to kind of read to y'all a kind of a book that I absolutely fell in love with because my grandpa gave it to me. So this book is called The American Cowboy. I'll show you this real quick. See, The American Cowboy. Now, the sad thing about it is a lot when everybody hears the word cowboy, they're thinking of the football team, the Dallas Cowboys. No. I'm talking like the gun-ho, rootin' tootin' and shooting Cowboys. The guys with the pistol, bang bang, everything like that. But not the kind you're thinking of. The actual man, an actual cowboy. What not defined, a lot of Hollywood actors back in the day, they defined the actual cowboy and what he looked like and what he dressed. Like, for example, John Wayne. That's a good example. He actually did a really good job playing as a cowboy in a lot of roles. But most of all, I want to talk about the cowboy himself. The actual cowboy, and I'm actually gonna tell the story of real cowboys. So, and the cool thing about it is it does have real art of cowboys. So I might be able to show you some. So let's get started. So let's begin on page 1, or on page 2. That's where the story begins. They are a little older now, a little heavier, and perhaps a little slower. But then most were never in too much of a hurry anyway. They amble through the bunkhouse as if it is a corridor to the past. A gateway to an era that has dimmed but can never fade away. I'm going to turn on my light real quick because I can't see. So, let's continue. Dim and never fade away. They had met in Stamford, as they always meet once a year to hold a reunion, a rodeo steeped in rawhide's nostalgia of a day when they rode straight and taller, but never prouder. They pause and nod and search for a face of a friend. That is the worst moment of all, looking for someone who never ride their way again. Their faces are worn, toughened by the relentless sun that hammers down from the cold, cloudless western Texas sky. Wrinkles crease their foreheads the way their wagon wheels once cut boldly through an unsettled prairie. They still remember the antagonism of the land. The land fought them and they cursed it. The land bowed its neck and would never yield, but they were too independent and too stubborn to think about leaving. Men suffered, but none ran. In time, the man and the land learned to live together, never ever yielded or forgave. Both would always look after each other with respect. They shared the hard times and the good times, the days of plenty and the sun-scorched months of nothing. Together they thirsted, and a man ate the dust the land threw into his face. Now both are older, and they tolerate each other as old enemies who have mellowed with the years. It is time for of rest for the Cowboys. Let's continue this. Let's continue. J.C. Porter is leaning against a cedar post. This is the guy who wrote the story. Leaning against the post. Staring across the country that has no trees, no hill to blot out across the country. Its horizon. It's the prairie where he rode, the prairie he misses most. He stooped on his trousers are stuffed into the tops of a pair of brown boots with run-over heels. His face has known the wind and known it often. It is aged leather now, red against the gray of his brush eyebrows. J.C. Porter kicks once at a barbed wire that has gone to rust, turns and says, It was a rare breed, the cowboy was. I'd rather have a cowboy word than a lot of people's name on a piece of paper. If he told you something, you could just go ahead and bet on it. There wasn't no need to do a lot of worrying about it. I've been a cowboy and I've had a good life. No complaints at all. I've been so cold I couldn't stretch my hands out, so hot my lips turned inner side outwards. I have to use a cigarette paper over my lips, fit like adhesive tape to keep the sun and wind and dirt off. You know the reason why God put whiskers on a man's face was to protect him. A man just styled it and called it a mustache. As J.C. Porter was saying. Porter pauses a moment, then smiles his first smile. I've had a hard life, he says, but it's been a good one. I've always done things I wanted to do. I never answered to nobody but me. No, sir, I got no complaints at all. Moving slowly back to the old rock bunkhouse in Stamford, he limps. That is the sign of a bronco rider who has aged a nag at his heels. That is the sign of a cowboy who had ridden too many horses and has not ridden all that he tried. Once a year, old-time cowboys hold their reunion in a small West Texas town of Stamford. Once a year, they get back together to reminisce a while to relieve those trying times at the dusty end of the cattle herd. And every year their number grows smaller. They are the last of the breed, the final witnesses to the untamed West. So, this is what people have to understand. I'm going to take a break from this. We're on chapter 2. We're on page 2 of the book of J.C. Porter telling the story. So what everybody doesn't understand is cowboys are like loggers almost. They are a different kind of breed of men. They are strong-willed and stubborn, just like I am, all right? Because in today's world, you do not see a lot of cowboys, old cowboys for that matter. You see a lot of young guys who dress up in cowboy boots and a cowboy hat, and they wear the clothes of a cowboy and the blue jeans and everything like that. They claim they know how to ride a horse, but they don't. So everybody's wondering, what do I mean by this? Well, I never grew up in the West, all right? I've had a lot of family who did. Take my mother's grandfather. He was born out in the west of Texas. He loved the prairie, he loved it his whole entire life. He was raised on a ranch from a little boy all the way to a grown man. He moved out here to California and lived out in the woods and worked at a mill and everything like that. but he still rode a horse. And that man was my great-grandpa Tyler. But whenever I read this book, it's like you're taking a walk through the past through another man's eyes, who was a cowboy. Not to find in like a romantic story, or even, or even in a movie. They can't capture that in a movie like they can in this book. But whenever I see a John Wayne movie, I'm filled with so much happiness. I love seeing John Wayne. And people, I will be right back. I am making a second video, so be right back.